Good morning, guys and gals. Froggy here. What? Another grease gun video? Yeah, another grease gun video. Um, this is a Craftsman air grease gun. I probably bought it 15 years ago, and I never got it running. This is the owner's manual, and doesn't really tell you much in here about how to get it running. So, good old YouTube came to the rescue, and basically, I think what needs to happen is I need to work on priming it. What does the owner's manual say? Exclusive air piston design assures self-priming. Ha ha, that's me. Ha ha, because it never self-primed. I tried 2 or 3 different cartridges in there, different types of grease. Does not self-prime. What else we got in the owner's manual? Troubleshooting. Impacts rapidly but will not remove bolts. What? My grease gun is supposed to remove bolts? I should have wrote haha here also. This is just some kind of generic air tool troubleshooting blah blah that really doesn't apply to an air grease gun. So here's what I'm going to do. I watched a few videos. You know, some of them are in a fancy studio and some of them are on a guy's messy workbench. Well, this is my semi-messy workbench. At the top here, after you load the grease in there, I'm going to skip a lot of parts because they've all been covered in other videos. There's air right here. There's grease, there's air. The air has to be removed before the grease will start flowing. So this is supposed to be a bleeder, air bleeder thing, but most of the other guys who did videos said they don't use them, they don't work. This is a bulk filler or a filling port here. If you don't use cartridges and you want to fill your grease gun from here, you can do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen all 3 of these. I'm going to loosen these threads here where this screws into the top. I'm going to loosen this. I'm going to loosen this. All that would let air, if I put pressure through this pressurizing mechanism, it should blow the air out there, there, and there, and eventually get grease. So let's try that. And I want to tell you, I've already been playing around with this for a while, but I haven't got it really to work. So there's some grease up there in that little cap, and there's some grease down there. I'm going to just put that in like a couple of turns. And see what happens. Let's look at this one. Let me check and see that I'm still in frame here. Excuse me. Yeah, should be good. So let's take this one out here. And this is the air bleed. And I can see grease in there too. So I'm seeing grease there and there. Let's take the tube off. I just put a little paper towel along the bottom because the grease, I'll take it off for now. The grease would liquefy and it would just drip out of the bottom. So to save a mess on the garage floor. There's grease there. That's a full tube. And there is some grease up here and there are some air pockets too. So, I don't know. The grease is It's pretty hard grease. But I've got about 100 psi pushing behind it. Let's try this. Let's put about 3 turns on that. Here's my air. And we're going to just let it rip. Now you might hear the air compressor go off. All right, so it might get loud. So what I'm looking for, let me check my frame again. Let's move this a little bit, right there. What I'm looking for is some grease to come out there. I don't think it'll come out there, but I think it'll come out maybe there, maybe. I'm going to take this right off. Maybe this grease is just too darn thick. All right, one other trick that I was told is to pull the plunger out. Let's leave that off. Nothing. Pull the plunger off and push with the plunger to put additional pressure besides the spring that you've got in there, to put additional pressure on the grease. So I did lube this, by the way. You're supposed to lube air tools. So I lubed this yesterday. It's not moving a bit. All right. Let's take that out of there for a second. I'm going to pull I'm supposed to be able to latch this and put pressure. There. Okay. So that's locked back now. It's got this little piece here that locks it back. This might be some kind of a engineer's brilliant idea to make it self-priming that never really worked. Not getting anything. Oh my. I'm going to stand it up. This way I can put more pressure on it. I hope I don't get a face full of grease. Whoa! I'm putting all my weight on it. Nothing. Well, I do have one other option. This blue grease is pretty darn thick, but it came in a cartridge, so it's designed to be used in one of these devices. I might have another tube of grease that I can try. Let me pause the camera. All right, well, that was not easy. I got it out and I smashed my finger. Whenever you're working with something that has like a large spring and it's compressed, remember it has a lot of energy when it's compressed, and when it lets go, that energy is going to go somewhere. So I smashed my finger, but anyway, there's the plunger inside, and this is the grease that was in there. I mean, it looks like Castrol, Syntec, NLGI, GCLB. So I don't know if that's supposed to, I mean, it's a cartridge. It should work in a grease gun, right? But it does seem very thick. So this is the other one I got. It's a Red Line, which is another very good brand. Let's see if it's got some specification on it. Just says CV2. All right. NLGI number 2. And this is NLGI LBGC, GCLB, so it should be the same thing. As far as thickness goes, what do you think? Well, this I'm going to save, and I'm going to put it in a little container, and I'll use it for hand greasing or whatever. It's still good grease, but I'm not going to put it back in the gun. I'm going to try and get as much of this blue grease out of everything as I can. And then I wonder if that's loose. Let me examine this a little bit and I'll be back. Well, it's not really loose. I mean, the plunger inside here is supposed to go inside that tube, so it's going to be a little bit loose inside this metal tube because it has to be a little smaller diameter. So I think that's okay. And spring is good, plunger's good, the locking mechanism is good. I'm just going to clean out this head here, and then we'll try a different grease. So I'm going to go off camera. Let me work on it a little bit. You don't need to see me clean the grease out of there. Okay, well, I cleared that all out pretty good, and I ran this with the air attached, and I can't see anything really moving in there. I thought I might see something moving. There's supposed to be a piston element in here that moves back and forth like that. So I'm going to take this apart and take a look at that. If it's a piston, it's got some O-rings on it. Maybe the O-rings are broken and it's not getting enough oomph to move the grease. So let me take that apart. This is supposed to be a continuous flow grease gun, so you don't have to pull the trigger each time you want a little bit of grease to go in. So my assumption is that this plunger here, which works against a spring, it's going to open up a hole or an orifice in there. So the pressurized, the slightly pressurized grease coming up the tube here is going to be sitting there. So it's slightly pressurized. Pull the pneumatic trigger, that plunger should open up something in here so the grease flows like thus. So I'm going to attach the air again and see if I get any movement on this. And I'll point it in a safe direction. Yeah, I did get movement. and I released. Let's try to. I want to make sure I'm in frame for you guys and gals to see this. All right. Watch this right here. There, you see the movement? And actually the piston came out a little bit. So I'm going to examine the O-ring, and if it looks decent, I mean, sorry, the trash truck is coming by. It's going to be loud for a second. Let me pause. Okay, he'll be in the background. Let's say this thing is 15 years old. It's been sitting and not used. These O-rings are probably flat, right? Flattened out. And the odds of me having an exact O-ring that size are slim to none. I will take a look. I've got some O-ring assortments, but I think they're all much smaller than that. Anyway, I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to lubricate those O-rings if they are not broken, and put it back together. Well, I do have some O-rings that might be the right diameter, but they might be too thick. Let me have a look. Well, I can tell just by looking at them that they're all going to be too thick, although correct in diameter. So I'm going to grease up the existing O-rings, and if I get it running, then I will try and find correct O-rings, because that'll prove my theory that the O-rings are not allowing enough pressure to be built up. I mean, it moves the plunger when it's not resisted by anything, but I don't know if it moves the plunger when it's got a little bit of grease resistance on it. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I put the pneumatic head back together. Let's see, am I in frame? Froggy, yep. So let's try this red line. You notice I took the hose off. Don't worry about it. The hose doesn't matter. We'll get this thing pumping, and then I think we can put the... I've got a few hoses, so... Come on. We can put different hoses on there. Don't worry about that. Nicely packaged. I use a few Redline products. Little plug for them. They're not paying me. But there. All right. Let's just see. Yeah, this is, oh yeah, this is thinner than the blue. All right. So, let's pull this back. That open end goes in there, and the little pop top goes towards the gun. Open that up. Save a little extra grease there. Waste not, want not. Isn't that the same? Now, the other YouTube videos that I watched said to preload or prime this cavity area right here. So that's what I'm doing. Priming it, especially down in, well, I don't think I had a bad angle, I'm sorry. Down in that hole right there. Right down in there, because the grease gun itself is going to be right up against there. So it's actually down in that hole that needs to be primed. All right. think we got that. Get this extra, put it back there. All right, now screw this on. And a lot of these other guys who did these videos said to leave this loose. Come on. There. A little hard to get it started there. To leave this loose. So we'll go tight. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll back it off like that. I'm going to put these two back on. The bulk feed is that one, and this one is the air bleed. I'm just going to put them a few threads on there. I don't think much grease would come out there. I don't think much grease will come out anywhere, but we'll see. If it does come out through any of those threads, and that's a good thing, because that means it's pushing. So, release this T-handle. Gotta make sure it don't get smashed again. There. So that means you got your spring pressure now up against the grease. Let's see if there's any grease coming now just from that spring pressure. Whoa, geez, Louise. Wow. I get my finger over that. Son of a gun. I gotta pull this spring back if I can. Okay. Wow. I think I got the spring back. Holy moly. I gotta get this on there. Yeah. That was a funny one, wasn't it? So, that part of it's working. Wasted a little grease there. We'll put that with the blue grease. We'll have like an extra, oh, here's a cup right here. We'll have like a cup full of grease. And that was pretty funny. Hey, Froggy doesn't take the bloopers out, all right? All right. Let me get organized again. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. And we'll put some air to it. Hold on. All right, let's give it a shot. Now, it's still loose. It's loose here, here, and here. All right, those three threaded places. And I got to remember to tighten them up, but let's just... Oh, yeah. Look at that. It's pushing. Let's see if it goes continuous. Supposed to. Not really, huh? Well, I don't know if this continuous part works or not. Let's put the hose on and see if we can get grease through the hose. I'll pause for a second. Okie dokie. It works. Here you go. So the red grease is pushing the blue grease through. I don't know. Bottom line, was the blue grease too thick? That could be it. Was it the piston and the O-rings that I greased up? That could be it. But continuous mode does not work. I'm holding the trigger down. But, whoops, there it is. The single shot as opposed to automatic. That's working. So I am happy because I've had this thing for 15 years and I never got it to work. So one other quickie, the tightness that this slips onto the Zerk, it's adjustable when you turn that right there. This would be going on real tight, keeping it on real tight. This would be loosening up, all right? So clockwise, if you want to go get it on real hard, or you could get it on loose and then tighten it up so it stays on there, I suppose. Anyway, that's it. Give me a thumbs up or a like if this helps you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more from Froggy. I include the bloopers. So there you go. Be safe. Have fun. Froggy out. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, I did notice it does say single shot, so that's not supposed to be a continuous gun. My mistake. And if any of you guys or gals do know where I can get an assortment, not just a single O-ring, but an assortment of the thinner O-rings, SAE or millimeter, I don't think it matters too much because they stretch. Put it down in the comments, please. Thank you. Bye.